Hello to all the students and welcome to the very first module of CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and in this module, students, we will be looking at a quick introduction to what is Cascading Style Sheet. We will go through the features of CSS and distinguishing features and benefits of CSS. So without further delay, let's get started. We've already discussed that CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS has an equality across all the browsers. So when we say that, it means that CSS can be used across multiple browsers. It can be used with Chrome, it can be used with Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera. So there are a lot of browsers which CSS works, and it works the same way. That's a good thing. The second advantage of CSS is that it also has an equality over all the devices. So what does that mean? It means that CSS can be used in the same way for a desktop application, for a tablet, or for a mobile. So let's say you had created a website and you are viewing that website over the tablet, or you are actually viewing that website over your mobile device. The CSS will not give you any different result. That is another very good advantage of CSS. In this particular course, we will be learning about standard CSS, and we will be covering the most latest version of CSS, which is CSS 3. CSS 3 is the modern CSS framework, which is very useful and widely used across the industry. It helps us to code smaller and faster than the previous CSS versions. It is very easy to learn and it is very easy to use as well. CSS is absolutely free software, no license is needed. This is another very important point, and it helps us to set a lot of things. Now, these are some of the striking features of CSS 3. Now let us look at the benefit of CSS, or why do we actually use CSS. In the HTML module, students, which you have discussed with me, we have seen that we can create static HTML web pages, isn't it? Now those static web pages that we have created, we did not give much of styling to that web page. When I talk about web page styling, it means how should be the margins, how should be the color of the text or color of the background, what should be the font be like, what should be the padding be like, what should be the vertical alignment be like, what should be the horizontal alignment be like, right? So all these things which CSS provides us, we can use that with our static web pages, which is the HTML. CSS really helps us to refresh the whole site. It gives a beautiful view to your web page. Another important advantage of CSS is that for HTML page, if you want to do the styling, you will be restricted on that particular tags or that particular HTML document. But let's say you had a website which had lots of web pages, innumerable number of web pages. What will happen in that case? If you have one CSS file, you can apply that CSS file across multiple pages. That really helps you to not do any rework. It is very easy to edit. So let's say if you are editing it in one place, it helps you to reflect the changes on the other places of the Word document also. Another very important benefit is that the CSS files are very small in size. So it can be very easily, quickly downloaded or uploaded on the server once your website is ready. It is also cached very quickly. It does not take the server to take a lot of time. It is helping us also in building the consistent designs across the applications. Okay, now one thing that I want to explain you here is what is the word meaning of cascading. What do we mean by cascading word? So when I talk about the word cascading, it means the rule relationship between the style sheets, and the precedence. So we'll see the different types or different ways we can use the CSS, and then we will understand how the cascading rule applies. In this particular module, I am going to give you the syntax of how the CSS is used, and from the next module onwards, we'll start looking CSS from practical examples. The syntax of CSS is, let me make a tag to make the things very clear for you guys. Color blue, background yellow, and I've closed a bracket, right? So I have written this particular tag, and from the HTML knowledge that I have given you, I am very sure that you understand this is a tag. So in CSS, students, this is also called as selector. Okay, this whole thing here is called as a declaration. So this is one declaration, and in this particular slide that I'm making, this is the second declaration. So declaration 1 and declaration 2, isn't it? Now this color here is the property, while this blue is actually a value. Similarly, this is a property and this particular value is actually a value. See that? How we are actually defining the syntax. So using this syntax in the next modules, what we'll do is we'll start writing CSS code. So please make sure you are comfortable with this syntax. Now when we talk about the CSS, we have different way in which we can include the CSS. We can include the CSS through the internal sheets. We can include the CSS through the external sheets, which is one of the preferred methods, one of the good methods. And the third way is using the inline CSS. These are the three ways, and in this module we will be just stopping here. From the next module, we'll try to understand these three different ways CSS can be used. So stay tuned for the next module. Till then, goodbye.